Hey, it's Jordan. I am in Flint, Michigan, East Palestine, Ohio,
Tumwa, Iowa.
Please support the only independent outlet on the ground covering what the corporate media covers up.
What's up, everybody? Ron Placone here, reporting for Status Coup. So, got some bad news, and then got a little bit of good news. Honestly, calling it good news might be a little generous, but we're gonna go with it's somewhat close to, in the vicinity. At least it's good news curious. It's good news adjacent. We need all we can get, right? I mean, Elon Musk is going to be in charge of government spending. He's going to cut everything. Things are going to get really freaking gnarly, even more so than they already are. So, man, we got to hold on to everything that's almost okay. Right? I think so. Bad news first. We got to do bad news first. So when it comes to climate change, I am very concerned, as we all should be, because the climate is collapsing. And you look at the United States, who is somehow managing to go backwards. But then you look at other parts of the world, and you get a little bit of hope. You look at what the Nordic countries are doing. You look at, different places that have declared climate emergencies, places that have better public transportation at the very least. You look at some of the green initiatives China is doing. China's also a huge polluter, so there's kind of two sides to that going on. But nonetheless, you kind of look around the world, you get a little more hopeful than the nothing the United States is doing. However, that's not always the case. That is not always the case. Here's a little bit of bad news out of Amsterdam. So in 2021, there was a ruling that said that Shell had to cut their emissions by 45%. It was actually a huge ruling for environmental groups. It was a very uplifting ruling, and it was kind of a victory against big oil. Well, got an update, and not a good one. This is from Reuters. Let me scroll the headline there. Sorry about that. Shell wins appeal. Shell wins appeal against landmark Dutch climate ruling. So this is out in Amsterdam. Oil and gas major Shell on Tuesday won an appeal against a landmark ruling that required it to accelerate carbon reduction efforts, dealing a blow to campaigners who have turned to legal channels to pursue climate action. The appeals court in The Hague said Shell had a responsibility to reduce greenhouse gas emissions to protect people from global warming. So at least it's acknowledging, they should do something. But it dismissed the 2021 ruling that ordered Shell to cut its absolute carbon emissions by 45% by 2030 compared to 2019 levels, including those caused by use of its product. So Tuesday's ruling coincides with COP29 UN Climate Summit, where opening procedures were delayed on Monday by dispute over how prominent the future of fossil fuels should be on the agenda. Oh, isn't that great? Oh, how prominent should we have fossil fuels be on this climate agenda? Real prominent or just kind of prominent? So the group that brought this forth in the first place was Friends of the Earth Netherlands. They brought the Dutch case in 2019. They said that they're going to continue to fight against its large polluters, but did not say whether it would launch a further appeal at the Netherlands Supreme Court. So the way that court system works, they can go to the Supreme Court now after this. Here's what their director, Donald Pohl, said. This hurts. Yeah, it hurts humanity and it hurts the planet. It's awesome that they got the victory in 2021, and now you see it, get rolled back here. At the same time, this case has shown that large polluters are not above the law. I really want to share that optimism. I really want. I really do. Shell CEO Wael Sawan said Shell believed the decision was the right one for the global energy transition, the Netherlands, and our company. I think there's too many words in that sentence. It just needs to say this decision was the right one for our company. That's it. It's not the right one for the planet. It's not the right one for anyone who isn't Shell. And some of the things they used was they were like, hey, why are you singling us out? Stuff like that. And it worked. They won on the appeal. Will this go to the Supreme Court? That we don't know. It might not. We don't know. But little bit of bad news for the climate that happened at The Hague out in Amsterdam, which really, I feel like that hurts more that it's in a place where you kind of think, aren't they doing a little better than us? I mean, I know oil exploration, drilling. Why did I sugarcoat that? Drilling. I know drilling happens everywhere. I know there's oil profiteers all over the world. That's not limited to the United States. That happens everywhere. But we really got it turned up to 11 here, don't we? So you kind of hope that other places, they're gonna at least make the effort, like throw a stick in front of the train and try to get these companies to rein it in a little bit. But no, they're just Shell's like, we're already reducing. We're already reducing. Don't make us reduce a certain amount. Just let us reduce enough that we can write a PR fluff piece and people aren't going to be totally like, what are you talking about? All right. So, little bit of bad news. That was the bad news. What is the good news? All right. So, there's a piece of policy floating around in the United States. We're going back to the United States now, everybody. And that piece of policy is called HR 9495. Here's a little snippet. Here's a little .gov snippet for you. HR 9495, Stop Terror Financing and Tax Penalties on American Hostages Act. Wow, that sounds really patriotic, doesn't it? Stop terror financing and tax penalties on American Hostages Act. We're going to help American hostages by stopping terror financing. However, like most policy in the United States, you really have to read between the lines because the heading is just a bunch of verbiage that sounds like something nobody would be against. Who wants to fund terrorism? That's not something anyone wants to do, is it? And who doesn't want to help American hostages? Whatever the hell that means. Hostages sounds like a bad thing. America, aren't you patriotic? This sounds like a good bill. How could anyone be against it? Well, again, the devil is in the details. What does this bill really do? What this bill would really do is it would allow a president, which, by the way, is about to be Donald Trump, decide that they can just revoke nonprofit status from any nonprofit they don't like by saying they're quote unquote terrorists. That's what it actually does. It would completely dismantle the nonprofit system in the United States, which, by the way, there's plenty of criticisms to be had about the nonprofit system in the United States. I am not suggesting this is a perfect entity. It's not. There's plenty of flaws. There's a lot of good stuff too. Nonprofits in the United States have done some amazing things. But keep in mind, up until recently, the NFL was a nonprofit. So I'm saying my point is it's not a perfect system, and I acknowledge that. However, is it a good idea to let a president, whoever it is, whether it's Trump or anyone else, just decide that they don't like a nonprofit so they can rip away their tax-exempt status? No, that's not a good thing. That's really not a good thing. So Donald Trump, which keep in mind, Donald Trump put this country under martial law. And no, it had nothing to do with the pandemic. He put the country under martial law because of Black Lives Matter. That's the kind of guy Donald Trump is. He is an authoritarian. Anyone who tells you otherwise is living in an alternative reality. Anyone who tells you Donald Trump is an anti-establishment candidate is living in an alternative reality. It's just political fan fiction. It makes no sense whatsoever. All right. Well, Ron, what about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris? Right now, we're talking about pancakes. We'll talk about waffles another time. All right. All right. So look, giving him this power would be a bad idea. So what's the good news, Ron? Well, the good news is it didn't pass. Now, why is it only pseudo good news? Well, because it could come back. And keep in mind, in January, there's going to be a Republican majority in the House, the Senate, and, of course, in the White House. And Republicans were pretty much unanimous on this, although it had a lot of Democratic support as well. I want to highlight something in particular. This is from James Fritz, very funny comedian. I recommend you all follow him. Here's what James Fritz tweeted. Imagine my shock that flaming pile of dog shit warhawk Adam Schiff was on this list. Great job again, California. You could have had Katie Porter or Barbara Lee. So here's a list of the Democrats who voted for this. 52 of them voted for this. So let's just underline that. Whenever you hear some corporate Democrat, signaling their virtue signaling and their platitudes, Donald Trump's destroying democracy, Donald Trump's doing this, Donald Trump's doing that, 52 of their elected members voted to let Donald Trump destroy any nonprofit he doesn't like. What do you think that would happen to the ACLU, to every digital rights organization in the country, to anything having to do with immigrant rights. 52 Democrats said that was okay. Adam Schiff is one of them. Adam Schiff, for those of you who don't know much about Adam Schiff, first of all, he's never seen a war he didn't like. Adam Schiff's never seen a war he didn't like. Another thing about Adam Schiff, he made a career. I mean, he got himself to the next level career-wise, talking about Trump Russia nonstop for years. It was to the point where he was touring theaters. I shit you not. He was touring theaters just talking about Trump Russia. So this guy made a career out of Russiagate, fundraised God knows how much money from it. And then, of course, Russiagate, nothing happened. It was just a big distraction for years out of all the millions of reasons to criticize Trump. This just speculative nonsense, which can just be boiled down to oligarchs get along with each other. So that's who Adam Schiff is. And this is the same guy who calls Donald Trump a threat to democracy and this and that. Here he is voting to let Donald Trump destroy any nonprofit in the country. This just shows you what a joke it all is. This just shows you what a uniparty it all is. So here's another list. If you want to see another list real quick, I'll show it to you of all the Democrats who voted for this horrible bill. And by the way, the only reason I'm highlighting Trump right now is because Trump's the one who's going to be president soon. Trump's the one who would benefit from this bill. And a bunch of Democrats decided that was okay. Look at this. All these Democrats decided that was okay. And this bill might resurface. And it might resurface with a Republican majority in the House and the Senate and a bunch of Democrats who say it's okay. Look at that. Look at that. So, a little bit of good news, but we're not out of the woods yet. Fortunately, HR 9495 was defeated for now, but who knows what could happen in the future. And we definitely got a climate loss out in the Netherlands. Stumbled over that. Climate loss out in the Netherlands. Say that 10 times fast. Bet you can't. Hold your loved ones close. You should do that all the time, but do it especially now. And hey, if you're looking for a distraction, on December 15th in Los Angeles, I am launching my next project. I'm going to be producing a play called Termination Fee. We're also going to be making a film out of it as well. All I want to say about Termination Fee so far, it is a scathing commentary on the American healthcare system. I think you all love it. We're going to be premiering part 1 of Termination Fee at Flappers Comedy Club on December 15th. You can get tickets at my website, ronplacone.com. There's going to be a night of stand-up. I'm going to be there. Graham Elwood's going to be there. Sarah K. Godot's going to be there. Then we're going to do part 1 of the play and have a Q&A after. So it's going to be a fun, multi-genre night of entertainment. And you can get tickets right now at my website, ronplacone.com. That's December 15th at Flappers Comedy Club, Los Angeles, California. See you there. There's been Status Coup fam at every one of my shows since 2022. Let's keep that streak going. This is Ron Placone for Status Coup, signing out.